Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honour to rise here today on behalf of my many constituents who live with a disability to show my support for Bill 206. You know, Mr. Speaker, I would say the majority of us in this place have no understanding of what it is to live with a disability in a society and an environment that is not built for you. I have maybe a small understanding. Mr. Speaker, in 2012, I developed multiple chemical sensitivity, which means that I am affected by artificial scents and perfumes and by chemicals in the environment. And you don't realize how much that exists, how many artificial scents and perfumes there are, how many people wear heavy cologne, how many chemicals you run into in your environment, until the fact that running into them makes you sick, makes you painfully aware. It takes a lot of conscious thought and effort to navigate the world thinking about that, trying to avoid it. I've been fortunate that I've had workplaces that in fact did have accommodations, scent-free spaces that made it much easier for me to be able to continue to participate in the way that everyone else can do. But there are still spaces I can't go into. There are places where I need accommodations to be able to participate. That is what people living with a disability live with every single day at an exponentially higher level of difficulty than I'll ever know. And Bill 206 is just about trying to correct that balance. It's a simple thing. But unfortunately, what we heard today is this government refuses to do even that simplest of steps, putting forward basic accessibility legislation. You know, the member for Camrose spent quite a bit of time reading the list in which the government patted itself quite heartily on the back, claiming Alberta is not standing still on accessibility, trying to claim that their nominal increases on services and supports for Albertans with a disability at a time of record inflation and population growth is somehow a heroic feat. It's not, Mr. Speaker. It's the bare minimum to even be considered even remotely competent and ethical in government. She talked about, $250 million to help folks with a disability to gain, maintain meaningful employment. Meanwhile, this government is clawing back millions more from those very same Albertans that they've received through the Canada Disability Benefit. They talk about building and safety codes. Again, Mr. Speaker, that is the bare minimum. The member from Camrose talked about how concerned they are about the impacts of this legislation. Let's be clear, Mr. Speaker, this is the most interventionist government Albertans have ever seen. They've got their fingers in everything. They throw their weight around without a care for how it impacts everyday Albertans, for how it drives investment away, how it affects business, how it affects Albertans who live with a disability. The fact is, Mr. Speaker, this Bill 206 would simply bring Alberta in line with the 8 other provinces that already have accessibility standards. And let's be clear, the UCP love to point to practices in other provinces when it benefits them. If it means they get to give themselves bigger gifts or bigger salaries for their MLAs, more money for their parliamentary secretaries, when they want to cut the supports that Alberta government pays to some of the most marginalized Albertans, they are very happy to look to other provinces and try to adopt what they're doing. They love to race to the bottom, Mr. Speaker. But when it comes to a simple accommodation to introduce accessibility legislation, all of a sudden, no, Mr. Speaker, we can't do what other provinces do. You know, Mr. Speaker, according to the 2022 Canadian Survey on Disability, conducted by this government, I would note, 27.5% of Albertans aged 15 and over, approximately 906,100 people at that time, reported having one or more disabilities. That number has only increased in the 4 years since, Mr. Speaker. But you know, it's really interesting. You can tell a lot about who a government likes, who they're listening to, by what they're actually willing to do. Alberta separatists, Mr. Speaker, now they get multiple pieces of legislation. Support in their court case, commitment of tens of millions of Alberta's taxpayer dollars in their quest to tear Alberta out of Canada. That's what this government is willing to do for them. There are more Albertans living with a disability, Mr. Speaker, than Albertans who support separatism. I just read the numbers. But this government is not even willing to pass a simple private member's bill to support and help them, because it doesn't benefit the government, Mr. Speaker. Pandering to separatists does. The Premier has said so. Helps her keep her political party together, helps them cling to power. That's what this government acts on, not what is actually ethically right, not what would be good for our economy, not what would be good for Alberta. Strangely quiet in the House now, Mr. Speaker. Should be. You know, the member for Camrose said she believes that when it comes to this government working to improve accessibility for Albertans with disabilities, they need to do it properly. Mr. Speaker, I would dare say that when it comes to improving accessibility for Albertans with disabilities, I'd like to see this government simply do anything at all. But they're not. They're dragging their feet. They're pursuing things Albertans do not want. I bet if you went out and actually talked to Albertans, if they had maybe taken this out on their Alberta Next town hall tour, they would have heard an awful lot of Albertans that would have supported legislation like this and those supports for the disability community. But they don't ask those questions because they don't want to hear the things they don't want to do. And the fact is, Mr. Speaker, we have members of the disability community here in the gallery today. They have been calling out. This government's own disability advocate wrote the report with the recommendation to do precisely what the member for St. Albert has done, and this government has told us they're about to vote it down. Mr. Speaker, look forward to an opportunity to see if the government members are going to step up, actually listen to their constituents, and support Albertans who live with disabilities.